Apparently this is a goat herding town because this is the third giant herd we've encountered. Yeah. Or this is just the time of day to move your goat.
Let's leave everything and go traveling. See what tomorrow brings. It's only a choice away. Let's back up and leave today. Let's see what tomorrow brings.
We woke up to more wind and covered in a nice layer of sand, but after shaking out the sheets and having some coffee, the first order of business for the day was the tire rotation, and thanks to our safe jack, it was a quick job. After taking care of that, we decided to head down to the water. We woke up, had our coffee, rotated some tires, and realized we need to change the rear brake pads. And I think we have rear brake pads, but couldn't find them. So maybe tonight, once we hit camp, we'll dig through everything a little bit more, see if we can find them, and maybe do that later. As you can tell, it's pretty windy still here. It is beautiful. It's so desolate. I mean, it's just like sand and water is pretty much that's here, and it's really hard to even hold the camera steady. But man, it sure is pretty. Sure is different. That poor guy didn't make it. Don't see any live seals around here either. The Paracas National Reserve covers more than 700,000 acres, so we could have spent weeks exploring it, I think. But it was time to head south, with a quick stop to look at the flamingos. We decided to have lunch at this little windy desert oasis, where I searched for the brake pads we thought we had. Sadly, I couldn't find them. I'm sure someday they'll turn up where I least expect them. Unfortunately, this little laguna wasn't as clean as we had hoped, so no swimming for us. We made our way back to the main road and continued to head south. Apparently this is a goat herding town because this is the third giant herd we've encountered. Yeah. Or this is just the time of day to move your goats.
It's cheap too. Got a little bit of it all.
We try to avoid driving on the actual Pan American Highway at all costs, but today it was the only option. It was full of traffic, big trucks, and lots of tourists. I find that driving the Pan Am never feels like much of an adventure. Today proved to be no different. The heavy winds did make keeping Goose in a straight line interesting though, and it felt a bit Mad Max-ish with all the dust in the air and barren landscape around, if you just ignore the nice road traffic and ugly giant road signs. Alright, we are driving through the town of Ica, I think that's how you say it, and we discovered there's a Toyota dealership, so we're stopping to see if we can maybe get some brake pads. I think we have some in the truck somewhere, but they're buried, and so just in case we don't have some, since we saw this, we figured we can't hurt to have an extra pair, or maybe not an extra pair, I don't know. So Tim's in there trying to see if they have any brake pads, and I'm just waiting with the car. Ica seems like a bigger town than I expected. Seems pretty cool. There's a ton of like auto dealerships and tractors, like heavy equipment type stuff. So it seems like a larger town for sure. I think we're gonna head back out into the dunes, some of the Dakar Dunes, which is kind of cool, and head back towards the beach. So hopefully it's seems like it's quite a windy day. Driving in, it seems like a bit of a sandstorm actually, so we'll see how the dunes go, but it looks like it'll be really, really pretty. Just whether or not we'll be able to enjoy it because of the wind. Somebody's coming out to look at the truck, I guess. Okay, so they don't sell 80 series in Peru. They never have, so they don't have parts for them, which we knew, and Tim had tried to research online which brake pads cross over, or at least ones that we could make work. But just couldn't seem to find anything about the rear brake pads, which was what we needed. Luckily, the manager of the dealership offered to take the curtain pads off and visually see if they could find ones that we could make work. Looks like we found a match for the brake pads, at least for the back, so we'll see. I don't know what they came off of, I'm not sure, we'll have to ask. But it's a match, so that's good.
Yeah, we think it looks like a match. It's so close that if there's a little bit of profile that won't slot in from the side, I'm sure we could grind it off or something, but the pad will fit, and that's the main thing.
Better than nothing.
Yep.
After finding a match, the manager offered to install the brake pads for us for $10, which at the end of a long day seemed like a good deal. So we settled in to watch patiently as Goose got some new brake pads. By the time Goose was ready, the sun was low in the sky, and we still had no idea where we were going to camp for the night. So we were off to find our way out of town and a place to rest our heads, hopefully before it was too dark.
So we got rear pads that were for some other vehicle, but you look at them and they're just spot on, the ones we took off, thank goodness. So
Yeah.
it was interesting too that usually on forums you can find like what other pads work on a Land Cruiser, but when you can always find the pads, people are less likely to do that homework, I guess. So I was like, man, I don't know, I'm not finding anything online saying what other Toyota vehicle pads work on an 80 series, so I doubt there is one. Put a little too much faith in the forums, and the guy just goes, let me take a look. And so no charge, he put the truck on a lift, pulled the pads, walked away, came back and held some up, and they look identical.
Yeah.
So you think they'd almost cross-reference to each other, but they slip right in, and so it was $10 to have them put the pads on.
So we were like, cool.
I've already rotated the tires in a dust storm or sandstorm today, or both of us have, so yes, for $10, it felt so good to have someone else do work.
Yeah.
I'm always trying and wanting to do the work myself, but it never felt so good to let someone else do it.
Yeah, it was a good time to do that. And
yeah,
then
the
now
guy was
it's
super nice. Once he realized.
Yeah, we got Peru Day jerseys.
Yeah, he gave us. They have like the dealership name on them, and they're like a jersey, but it's for Peru Day, so we'll be wearing those quite a bit. I have a feeling coming up here. We'll blend right in.
Yeah, no one will know we're
They'll
gringos.
think we're locals, which is cool.
So now it's about 6 o'clock. We're losing light, but we're still trying to get out of town and hopefully to the dunes.
Yeah, so we're heading towards the really big dunes that you see in Dakar, the Dakar Rally, if you ever watch that. So we're going to camp somewhere off in the dunes. We're just going to air down and go into four-wheel drive and try and just get remote, be away from everybody. We don't know how big the dunes are in terms of area or how easy or difficult it'll actually be to get away from people. So we'll see. We have no idea.
Yeah, just making our way through the craziness of this little city right now. It's everyone's
rush
getting
hour.
off work, and
Every tuk-tuk is in service right now. All the tuk-tuks that we see sitting during the day with their feet up on the dashboard, they are all working their tails off right now to run everywhere and make all their money for the day. I'm sure the mornings are probably like this too, and everyone's heading to work, but it's a melee. So we're hoping we just get through town and go camp.
but now we have brakes, so that's
Yeah, I'm so glad. The rear brake pads, you should have seen them. They're like this.
Gone.
That seems to be what I always run them to, because you only notice or you only check the brake pads when the tires are off. You're not going to pull the tires just to check pads unless you hear a noise. But we rotated the tires this morning, and I looked and went, ooh, wow. I think that essentially not having the brake booster, and for some reason the rear brakes were like locking up. It's not doing it now, so I do think that it was just, I think it was brake booster, and could be a stuck
yeah, and the
piston
amount
on
of
caliper.
giant mountains we were going up and down. There's a lot of wear on the brakes for the last month or so.
And this straight six, even with the gearing we have, does not have enough gearing for how heavy of a pig we are. So down all the hills, I was trying to engine brake, but that's just where someday a diesel and a manual would be really nice to save the brakes a bit. But all right, I'm exhausted. Goodbye.
amongst all the little, literally just shacks made out of nothing, there's a giant fancy church, which is
And the
very
shacks,
odd.
there's no footprints in the sand, so we just passed a city of hundreds of shacks, and now there's a church that looks like it's, out of the Wild West.
Well, darkness came before we found a place to stop. The road we were heading out was a one-lane sandy road. The outskirts of town were not the nicest of places, and in the growing blackness it was becoming impossible to see anything outside the glow of our headlights. It was a little creepy. We wanted to make sure we were far enough out of the town to sleep well. We kept having to jump off the road for big trucks, thankful for clearance and four-wheel drive. These trucks were heading into town regularly, and quite aggressively. We never figured out where they were coming from or going to, but I couldn't help but feel that it was something slightly shady. Maybe it was just because of the sad town and darkness. But whatever it was, we were keen to get far enough off the road to not be seen for the night.
Alright, you can't see us, but we made it to a place to sleep tonight. It's just dunes. We pulled off the road. You can't really see much, so we were just happy to find a place that we could get off the road. And we kind of just went a ways off the road and hid behind a dune. And
Old Goose did a good job not getting stuck.
yeah,
Bogged down a few times as the sand got really soft.
some really
and,
big, fine sand dunes out here.
Yeah, even though he doesn't have a whole lot of power, he's got enough in low range to keep us moving. So we just kept finding, like, we kept running little canyons, and when they would start to get too steep and we'd start to get stuck, we'd pull back out and go to the next one. And then this one went far enough back and around a corner where I don't think we were going to be seen from the main road. So that was the goal.
Yeah.
And I think we got it dialed. So
My battery's gonna die. But it was a long day. We're gonna eat dinner, crawl up into bed, and hopefully get some sleep tonight.
sounds good to me.
Good night.
Thanks for watching, and join us next time as we check out our surroundings and head out to the epic Dakar Dunes.